Hello. It's our first chapel, Black History Month. And yeah, I'm going to introduce one of my closest people in my life, Apollo Flowerchild, and you could say more about yourself. You have the agency.
I'll try. What? Won't you stay? Okay. Hello. My name is Apollo Flowerchild. My pronouns are they, them. Happy Black History Month. As happy as we can make it. um, I'm excited to just be invited here by Daniel Jose to talk with y'all during this chapel. And mostly what I've come to speak about is this topic that I've pretty much been speaking about my entire life, which is sort of like the well of existential concerns that come from deepening your understanding of the world. And I feel like, because I was just having this conversation recently, um, I truly feel, and this is again only the most recent thought, that I only have this deep connection and relationship to existentialism because I came from a religious household. Like I was growing up surrounded by a Baptist Christian mother, and knowing that I had like a Catholic father, which is really strange. um, and already being born sort of rejecting everything about being a part of a church. But sort of like watching my family claim to gain things from being a part of their religion and a part of their faith, and me sort of gain nothing from being the extension of that. But also like my faith wasn't nearly as deep. So to some degree it makes sense, but also understanding the world and at large in relationship to what they claimed that they were getting, I still couldn't truly understand what their relationship was. And I think that those questions in and of themselves being sort of like born into the brain, from being like, well, I see you guys engage in this way and in this faithful way, and in this religious way, and then you go back to your daily lives in ways that don't seem to honor that. Yet and so you claim that everything that is good in your life that you have gained is from this religion. How can that be possible? And I think asking the hows and the whys begins sort of like the well of existentialism. I'm not sure if other people had thoughts on that as well. I would love to hear what other people think who are here today about that. Um, huh? That's okay. It's a big question. Because it's just like, I guess like I would love to start with like asking, what does existentialism mean to everybody who is here? Like, what is to ponder your existence, that action and those questions? What does that look like or mean to you? Yeah. Let me put this down for a second. I'll need it right now.
I mean, I think about my existence all the time. It's such a big question. I think like it's interesting that you started off by talking about like the upbringing that you had, because had I not ever questioned my identity, I wouldn't have questioned that, and none of the rest of my world would have fallen apart to begin with, in the best ways. Like I needed to reconstruct over the rubble, because otherwise I would have just been walking blindly to whatever I was taught. And like, I mean, my ignorance is bliss in my family, and like they're very happy to live in the world that they do. And I think like my queerness, my transness, like tapping into that and breaking some of that up has been really difficult for them. And I mean, there's a reason why I exist, I think. Just wreck the whole system.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Oh. Does anyone else have any? The big question we were asking is, what does existentialism mean to you? Like, what does it mean to ponder, question, and even give yourself answers to what it means for you to exist? I know it's a chunky question. Yeah.
Thank you, Daniel Jose, for that. I resonate with a lot what you said. So, also growing up in a religious household, and facing religious trauma and wrestling with my queerness as well. What's the genesis into the portal of curiosity, love, and being receptive to the things of spirit from a really young age. And eventually getting the language to be able to explore that through identity, through lived experience, and through my body, who I am, in relation to the world. Yeah. And as I got older, I think I'm on the journey, you know?
Right.
It's still developing, still unfolding. So I'm just glad I was able to see the portal from a young age.
Yeah.
And step into it, which I think not a lot of people have the blessing or the ability to do so for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
And I just pray that people get to into the portal and witness that there's life. There's life there. There's freedom there. And your most authentic self.
Yeah, absolutely. Does anyone else want to answer? Also, thank you very much. Also, I didn't get your name.
Chesed.
Hassan?
Chesed.
Hassan. Thank you so much.
I think growing up for me, the existential question was assumed that our value was in what good we can do in the world, and just defined by kind of level of usefulness, like productivity and also kindness too. But there wasn't as much emphasis on meaning making through just being. And so it's been a journey to try to grow my sense of meaning making through goodness and kindness in what I do, but even more grow my sense of who I am as a value just through being.
Thank you so much.
And
what is your name? Yeah. Anyone else would like to answer? The big question we're asking is, how do we define existentialism and our personal relationship to defining, making meaning of, and engaging with our existence?
Do we have a defining term for existentialism?
I'm asking you. Third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Are you still sitting on the question? Yeah, of course, no problem. Thank you for your responses, first of all. And also, if you want to circle back to the answer, that's fine. Just let me know. It's interesting because some of the parallels, one really huge thing from just the upbringing aspect is assessing value. I think as a person who, again, already was like, I don't mess with any of this from a young age. Like, I don't mess with whatever the church was giving me. I had to sort of redefine what made me valuable and engage with that question as a point of tension. Because I think if you start with having your value seen inherently through your actions only, every time you do not act, you will self-flagellate yourself. You will punish yourself for not doing anything. And I think that is where the beginning of understanding that you as a human being is innately valuable when you can just rest and be valuable. You are valuable when you are resting. You are valuable when you do absolutely nothing, when you just breathe. That is innately valuable. Because if you do not do that, you will die. And what life are you living if you are putting yourself in a position not to live as fully as possible? And I think maybe lots of people who experience religious trauma in their early life have to sort of tussle with reassigning what makes them valuable when the religion no longer exists, when the family no longer exists, when certain kinds of friends no longer exist. When do you start to ask yourself, what makes me valuable? And I sort of like dialectic, so I will be asking y'all a lot of questions. So I guess in this particular instance, you mentioned something really valuable, which was coming into existentialism with both love and curiosity sort of at the forefront. And I feel like I've unfortunately did not experience that first with existentialism. I came into it with a lot of pain because for me, I was basically breaking off a limb that just was not useful to me anymore. Like I was taught to believe that this part of me was valuable, but to re-understand that means for me to like re-understand that this is not where my value lies, and that actually is painful to undo. So I guess in terms of like understanding your relationships, so like what makes you valuable within your within or without whatever creeds or faiths that you guys are attached to. How have you assigned like or assessed your personal sense of value? That would be my question to y'all.
Yeah.
Within your faith or within your relationship to existentialism, how have you maybe redefined your relationship to being valuable? And how you understand yourself as valuable, not how the world understands you as valuable. If that's attached to it, that's fine too. And also give me your name and pronouns. I forgot to ask everybody from the very, very beginning. I don't want to forget y'all.
Sure. A Dorian. My last name is Murray Thomas. She, her, hers are my pronouns. And I do have to leave a little early, so apologies in advance.
You're so good.
But I think of my value a lot within the lens of how can I help others, particularly young people, particularly Black and brown folks, particularly young Black, brown, queer, working class folks, how to see their own selves and their own values and the God in them in a world that tells them that they are monstrous or nothing or invisible. Yesterday, actually, at church, so I run like some of our youth, I run our youth programming at our church, and we had like this whole lesson around like Jesus turning water into wine, and I actually was subbing for someone else, the head point person on like this class. She had to be out of town this weekend, and you know, I just like kind of flipped it. Like, so we talked about Jesus turning water into wine. Yeah, shout out to Jesus. Like, wine is great. Thanks for doing that. Like, that was important. My God, don't judge me.
No, you're
so
so
like
good.
sacrilegious. It really was. And the greater significance to me in the story, and I only really got this as I was going over it and like saying it to the kids, was the Mary who helped Jesus when he didn't first like want to come up and actually convert the water into wine. He knew he could do it, but he didn't want to. And his mom was like, no, baby, like let these people see how amazing and beautiful you are. And so I just kind of used that as the crux of the entire lesson with the young people. Like, are there ever moments, maybe it's in class or you know the answer and you don't like raise your hand or you're thinking about it and like you've got a friend or a teacher that encourages you or an inside voice. And we spent a lot of time just talking about like how it is as young people, and this is all like Black, brown, you know, young people in the city of Newark. How can you show up and show your light in a world that is actively trying to dim it? Sometimes in a church that is actively trying to dim it. Frankly, I don't think that's the case in our church, and certainly not under our leadership and the theology that we teach there. But that's when I really feel like when I'm most of value, when I can have young people like leave a space with me for 5 minutes, 10, 20 an hour, and fall in love, just a little bit more in love with their own reflection. That's when I feel most useful. And that's what I feel like my value is on this earth. And I grew up seeing my mother do that. And I didn't even know how much she was teaching me by just being that for her students, for her mentees, for the youth she worked with in foster care. I didn't even know how that was like anchoring me in that same way. So yeah, thank you for that.
No, that's beautiful. Yeah. Does anyone else want to answer? Make sure you give us your name and your pronouns.
Sure, my name is Christian, all pronouns. And I find value in being in community with my community and learning our practices, learning our songs. I do a practice called bomba, which is an Afro-Puerto Rican dance and music tradition. And we're currently singing Bad Bunny to the rhythm of bomba. We're actually disappointed in Bad Bunny that he's like, oh yeah, our culture, but then he forgot the oldest musical genre in his new album, which is bomba. He brought in other genres, plena, which is a hand drum, tuk, 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 but that came from bomba. And so many questions on why he did or didn't. I think maybe he went to bomba professionals and they were like, absolutely not. You're not gonna take this black culture and your light ass isn't gonna profit off of it because you ain't been doing this. And I hope that's what it was. But maybe it's just because he didn't want to bite off something that's so rooted. Like he'll bite off other things, but he won't bite something that means so much to communities and actually defines the identity of some of our black parts of Puerto Rico. So we are like, well, we love Bad Bunny and his work, or I won't speak for myself. I'm very skeptical that Bad Bunny is part of the system. Like he has a song that makes reference to Verano in Nueva York. And for me, it's like, is he subliminally sending messages for Puerto Ricans to come, to the young people to leave the island and come because New York is sexy now, right? And I keep talking to Puerto Ricans and they're like, I want to go to New York this summer. I'm like, baby, stay there, we need you. Whole other thing. But my point is, we're singing Bad Bunny. We're taking his song that talks about protecting the island. They want to take my river, they want to take my beach. They want to kick all the kids and the grandmas out of our island. Powerful song, powerful lyrics, right? And he's using his platform for good, right? To awaken people. And some of us are struggling to pronounce some of the Spanish words in the right way, to go in the same cadence that he's pronouncing them, because he's pronouncing them in a specific way to fit the rhythm that he created, right, or his producer created. And so it has been so healing for us to support each other, to reclaim a language that was stolen from us or beaten out of us. Because when I talked to my father, he says he was smacked on a ruler in the hand in New York City when he was speaking Spanish in his little Catholic school class. And so I'm like, oh, it was beaten out of us. That's why you didn't teach us to speak Spanish, because they beat it out of us. They shamed us. And so for me, being in my community and still practicing this sacred tradition of ours and holding each other through our challenges, even if we have a leader, who still is working on their Spanish, right? And then when we are all singing harmoniously at the same time, our spirits are collectively filling the air, because now we're singing with more confidence. We're singing because now everyone knows what the words mean. They're pronouncing it right. They're paying homage to Bad Bunny, and we're paying homage, most importantly, to our ancestors. Fuck Bad Bunny, because you're making money, and is it coming in my pocket? No, right? Or in those people who most need it, I don't need it. I'm good. I got my little cupones, and I'm good. But my point is, being able to be in community, and then when we go out in public and bring this to libraries, bring this to City Hall, bring this to, street festivals like we do in our tradition, they see us confidently joyful and they want to join in, right? And for me, it's the existentialism. To me, I don't know what it means, but it just sounds like a white man's theory to, I don't know, gravitate the crumbling of the white man's society, right? But for me, existence is not existence if it's not in community with our people, right? And all people, because we are all one. But we get healing first off by going to our own peoples to heal, and then we can heal other peoples. But we need to heal our shit first, And so for me, it's like that is existence, and it's existence with the moss on the ground, the ancient ancestor moss. It's with these trees that are not from this area in the world, but still communing with the ginkgo that's not from this native land, and then planting native seeds, in Central Park. And I'm just gonna throw it and I'm gonna walk away because this is illegal right now, But I'm going to re-indigenize this land because I'm in community, and I know that these ancestor plants and the world is screaming for us to get back to root. So yeah, I'll stop there.
Oh, no, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Does anyone else want to answer? Or are we saturated with assessing our value?
I'll answer, and then I'm going to ask you to play music. Out of the many, out of the few things that I took from my Christian upbringing or background, even if I don't like claim it now, I think this idea of being created in God's image is something that will always stick to me. And me questioning what that means is sort of what sort of got me into the progress of where I am in my faith now and my spirituality now. But being made in not just like a reflection as a human, but being made divine, and like so no matter what I do, I am divine in that. And so my value comes because I am divinely made. So I'll bring this back to you.
Thank you so much, Daniel. I did also one final thing, because I wanted to like put this thread together with the answers that you all gave to. I truly do believe, at least with the people in this room, but I do think in the greater world to some degree that like one of the greatest agents of like misplacing your value is shame. And I think shame is indoctrination's greatest warrior. Like it's so easy for you feeling bad about everything that you do to turn into everything I do must be bad. To turn into every action I take, every step that is closer to me feels like blasphemy. Every step that's closer to center feels wrong, because shame does such a good job of making us think that thinking differently is bad. And I think I love that the ways that we break away from that is coming back to root, coming back to culture and community, coming back to the children, the young people just recentering themselves and figuring out who they are and finding value in that. And I was one of those young Black children who thought of myself very lowly. And I think only through beginning to ask the question of like, well, who said that was true? And then being like, no, I'm gonna start redefining this reality for myself. Because if I don't do that, I will live a miserable life. And actually, no one can afford to do that, because if I live a miserable life, I will project that onto everyone who comes and encounters me. And I feel like to love myself in this core and innate way is the only way I've been able to love my peers properly and have proper community. But on that particular note, I am going to be sharing 2 songs with you all today. Because I am a singer-songwriter. That is what I do. I'm also a music teacher. So giving back to children is something that I feel very strongly encouraged to do, but in people in general. I feel like I'm a person who feels very called to some degree to push people so close to themselves that all they have to do is touch it. Like, I want you to be able to breathe on it and decide that you want to be you. Because at that point, and this is where the language gets harsh, because I truly do believe, no matter what the circumstance, if you are surrounded by people who love you irrevocably and tell you, and you do not take the leap to believe them, that is cowardice. I think the shame in being afraid to like really take in who you are and what you deserve, quite frankly. I personally do not have time to sit and coddle that. I only have time to encourage and proliferate bravery to touch yourself, to be yourself, to like really get to that center. And it pushes me to tears to see people like touch themselves and be like, that's who I am. And I want to be this for the rest of my life. Like it's the most amazing thing to witness, and it is an honor to witness it in people, because it happens silently all the time. It happens quietly all the time. It happens by yourself, in your room, in your mirror, all the time. But it pushes it. I feel called to bring people close to themselves in this way. And these next 2 songs are sort of reflections of the conversation we have had about existentialism and asking these questions, and realigning with who we are. The first song is called The Curse of Knowing, which is sort of how I equate this existential conversation. Like, to know yourself in a world that doesn't want you to know is a curse. Because the punishment and consequence of the world knowing that you know yourself is very great. And that's what the song is about. And then I'll tell you about the next one when I play. Okay. Let me take the rings off. I can't look cool and get real. Um, that's true. I appreciate you. So this is the curse of knowing. The curse of knowing. And fever, I can hardly breathe in this room. And what's the reason? Did you know it would break me? Did you know I would lose my head? The world is turning red. Bloodlines burn from expectations. Bridges built on weak foundation. I guess we'll never learn. But how do I confirm if I am the problem or if God is cruel and heavy-handed to the weak-hearted? And oh, my punishment is the curse of knowing that it's all performance. And we dance without knowing. And we dance without knowing. We dance without knowing. I'm broken, resigned to love whomever gives me a little time. Don't look me in the eye, I intend to soften the weight of never being held for long, pretending to be strong while the world was turning red. Bloodlines burn from expectations. Bridges built on weak foundation. I guess we'll never learn. But how do I confirm if I am the problem or if God is cruel and heavy-handed to the weak-hearted? Oh, my punishment is the curse of knowing that it's all performance. And we dance without knowing. We dance without knowing. And we dance without knowing. And as we trip and fall, tell yourself it's all just bad timing. And what did I do wrong? Spellbound by awkward silence, I held on a bit too long. I found love and didn't even know it, while the world was turning red. And bloodlines burned from expectations. Bridges built on weak foundation. I guess we'll never learn that it's all performance. Thank you. Thank you. But yeah, that's the curse of knowing. And this last song before I depart is called I Can't Be Reborn. I sort of made the song as a response to the death of Sonia Massey. Because throughout the entire course of my life as a Black person, I've had to be in relation to my mortality. So it is not surprising to see and experience death, but it is still grief. It brings grief on in a really strange way, because it feels like I'm so close to it all the time. And the song was made sort of as a reminder that, this is the only life that I get, that you and I get to experience. This version of me will not happen again. And just sort of to honor that and remind people, even with every religion that exists, even ones that believe in reincarnation, this version of you will not be reincarnated again. You will not experience life this way again. You will not be this again. So this is I Can't Be Reborn. Thank you. Mountains of stone, weathered by rain and hail and running water, cold like a vision conjured with nowhere left to roam, like a ghost. And I'm tired of fickle candle flames, potential freedom gone to waste, like livestock playing a human being's game. What does it mean? What does it even mean to be human anyway? 'Cause there must be more than the truth that I live and die for sport. I am awakened, and I'm confident and sure I can, and I won't be reborn. Be reborn, be reborn. I'm opening wounds from a body that my soul used to belong to, with the trauma of being bound to the earth. And while I'm 6 feet under God's almighty curse, and the madness, my constant enemy, the sadness, the bedrock for overwhelming grief, and I'm crying for the souls I simply cannot reach. 'Cause there must be more than the truth that I live and die for sport. I am awakened, and I'm confident and sure I can, and I won't be reborn. Be reborn. I can be reborn, be reborn. Thank you. Appreciate y'all. So those are the things. Thank you guys for coming to the chapel today, and talking with me about existentialism and just value in and out of faith, because I think those things are just really important to talk about, because with the way that our society works, they do not want us to have these conversations. They do not want us to open our minds and hearts in this way. And like I truly do believe that like it begins with sort of like tapping into yourself and being like, who am I? Asking that question and answering it from a point of center, and not from anybody else giving you an answer. So yeah. What? Encore. You can find me on everything. My name is Apollo Flowerchild. That is my legal name, for better or worse. But that's on my Instagram. One of the songs that I played today, "The Curse of Knowing," I actually have released out on all streaming platforms. Apollo Flowerchild. Yep, just my name. I try to make it real easy. But yeah.